This is the MeatEater podcast coming at you shirtless, severely bug-bitten, and in my case, underwearless.
We hunt the MeatEater podcast.
You can't predict anything.
The MeatEater podcast is brought to you by First Light. Whether you're checking trail cams, hanging deer stands, or scouting for elk, First Light has performance apparel to support every hunter in every environment. Check it out at firstlight.com. FIRSTLITE.com. When I was, is the machine out now, Phil?
Yeah.
You can record this.
Yeah, it's on.
We're rolling?
We are rolling.
Been rolling for a couple minutes.
Once you're in classic rock,
Oh, the
there's probably
pod is
no getting
on.
out.
No, he just
podcasting
started.
right
now.
He just started it. And I
Okay,
want to tell you something. First, I'm going to say we're joined today by the host of Bussin with the Boys on the Barstool Podcast Network, Taylor Curtis Lewin.
Oh.
How do you like to say it?
Taylor Lewan, but I've been called Lewin my whole life. It's all good. This is not.
Hey, I'll tell
this
you what,
is not new ground.
Lewin's
And
been making
Will-
a comeback recently.
It has, yeah. Lewin is
That's what
definitely made a
Rogan
comeback.
refers to you as, Taylor Lewin.
You just churching it up, Dirt?
Yeah,
Is that
Yeah.
the deal?
we got a little something. Lewin.
And Will Earl. Oh my God, this makes you sound pretentious.
William Earl
Compton the
the
third.
Oh,
Yes.
I was like, give me some of that money.
Yes.
Oh, what I was gonna, I had two things because we just before the show started, we were talking about rock and roll, and we were talking about when your song, if you're a rocker, like your Nirvana or Pearl Jam or whatever, like so you're cool like a long time ago, and then one day you wake up and you're classic rock, and that being disconcerting. And I was gonna point out in talking about how adaptable classic rock is, the FM station where I grew up, 94.5 KLQ. Would do now and then they would do that like 1,000 greatest rock songs, which is, it's like a thing that brings the country together. But KLQ would jump in and do an editorial insert, so it's going to end like for weeks. You're driving down the road knowing this is going to land at Stairway to Heaven,
mm-hmm.
but they would at number 2 put in Uncle Ted's Fred Bear.
Fred Bear is a jam.
They would stick that in just to stick it to the man and say, it's no Stairway to Heaven, but it's definitely better than Hey Jude. Right?
Hey, Fred Bear's a jam now.
Yeah.
That was like the first hunting song I grew up listening to.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's funny when it
popping
clicks,
the VHS.
right? You're like, oh, it's hunting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to learn more about this Fred Bear guy.
We got to hang tight a minute. Oh, there's one thing we got to do right off the top of the bat, and you guys might like this. We're doing, this year, we used to license music
Mhm.
for the end of the show. You guys do that with the show?
I don't think so, no.
How do you end it?
No.
You just end it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
it's got this little riff. I think a guy named Drew Dixon did it for us.
So you do got a
Now,
little
the one we use now is from Ernest.
Yeah, Ernest came on the bus and he did a little acoustic jam and put it together. That's the beginning, but that little guitar riff at the end, I'm pretty sure was like Drew Dixon, who was like, guy's a singer-songwriter in Nashville, been working in at Tin Roof. It's a bar on Demumbrian Street
Got it.
forever.
So you didn't have to license that every year.
No.
You just got it.
We
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know
we do.
about it at first because Quaker City Nighthawks was the very first one we would use.
Yeah.
And then you hear about all the copyright and stuff. And then we tried to mess with them, but then they didn't want to mess with us. But then when we kind of became popular, they wanted to come back, and we were kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
missed
That
your
ship
shot.
has sailed.
Oh,
Yeah.
Missed your
really?
shot.
Gotta get in while the getting's good.
Yeah.
Point being, we had licensed a song that no one really liked, but it just meant something to me.
Mhm.
And then we let the license expire, and we told our audience that from now on, we're only going to outro with music that they write and send in. So it's just going to be never-ending runs of musicians that wrote music for us and sent it in. So this one I like so much that I don't want to just outro it. I want to intro the outro.
You want to do
Follow me?
both.
Follow me?
You're doing a Quentin Tarantino situation.
Yeah.
You're starting at
It's
the
like
end.
watching Pulp
Yeah.
Fiction. It's
Yeah.
like watching
I like that.
It's
I
like
like
watching Memento.
Yeah.
We're gonna intro the outro. You ready, Phil?
Yeah. Got it pulled up.
Phil's gonna.
Let's hear it, Philly.
Guy sent this in.
Wrote it just for this show.
Yeah.
That's like Young Guns. Oh, not anymore.
That surprised me.
Wait for the elk bugle, though. Yeah, wait for the elk bugle. There it is. Dude, I'm telling you what. You turn it off now, Phil.
There's a lot going on there.
Hot
Yeah,
tip
yeah.
for any musicians, man. Throw an elk bugle into your metal tunes. It's gonna be your favorite. It's like with cooks, throw a little butter in there. You throw some elk bugles into your music, and you're gonna be kicking ass. Who's that?
This is by Jesse Collins, who's a local Bozeman, Montana
he's from here.
resident. He's from here. And in case you were not able to decipher the lyrics, the lyrics are hunting, fishing, cooking, conservation. And
then I
then
heard
the
podcast.
next line
Podcast.
is live to hunt, hunt to live. And then the last line, which we
Something near and dear to me.
cut before anyone could hear it, is fresh set of eyes finds more beans.
I invented that.
Is that you?
I invented that.
Oh, that's amazing.
We're gonna open a Christmas present real quick. Oh,
Yeah, it's behind you. That's from
Well, it's not even wrapped.
Metin.
For those of
Friend.
you who forgot to get on the YouTube version of the show,
this is a huge. Randall, can you open it? Can you work on opening that while I talk?
Here,
Sure.
I got it.
Listeners of the show remember
borrow
when
one of
we
those knives?
participated. Yeah, my little cutlery collection.
no, this is great. I love it.
So listeners of the show will remember when we had some anthropologists on the show. We participated. Cal was there. Who all was there?
Cal, Clay.
I mean,
Spencer.
in this room.
I was
just us.
filming.
Corinne was there. Max.
I was
Max was filming.
Yeah.
Corinne was there. We participated in butchering a buffalo with stone tools in cooperation with anthropologists and archaeologists and a paleontologist from
Oh, look out.
There's
Colorado?
the
There's the
Oregon
wrapping
State.
paper.
It was Texas. Why am I struggling so much?
I thought the Ohio State,
yeah.
too.
Kent.
Southern
at Kent.
Methodist, SMU,
And then Kent State University.
Kent State University, Oregon State University, and we participated in a project of we were expert butchers and butchered a buffalo with stone tools, replicas of Ice Age tool assemblages, and this present came in the mail.
It's very delicate.
It says
a
this
card
end
here.
brittle.
Okay.
Do you have any idea what this is?
I really don't.
Really?
I know that I
Do you
expressed
want me to
great
start off
It's not your
interest.
present. It's not your present.
Is it gonna
This
be?
No,
end,
no, please
you know I'm
help.
excited.
Help. It's going to take time.
This end is brittle.
Yeah.
Taylor, you can't help.
Yeah.
We've already been over this.
Right.
Taylor's the don't rip the wrapping paper person.
Oh, he's gonna save it and bring it home.
Yeah, I
all
like to
folded up.
savor. I like to savor the anticipation.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, you want to grab the brittle
Which is a
end?
great way to think about that because I've never thought about it that way. Like what you
Oh.
like is the
Yeah.
To
getting what it could
Meaty
be.
Because even if
Christmas
it's like
and
a
a
gift you
happy
don't
new
want,
spear.
you get to spend that extra minute and a
I've
half
never known
knowing,
what it's all
oh, okay,
Yeah.
this might be that thing I really want.
Yeah.
So this is from the Kent State University Experimental Archaeology Lab.
The golden flashes.
And many apologies to people who are listening and not watching this.
Yeah, you got to get on the YouTube train for this
Phil,
one.
do you think it sounds good, this loud paper noise to people at home?
Yeah.
I
For
love
sure.
it. I think it creates intrigue. People will get online to see what's going
my
on. Ooh,
goodness.
bubble wrap.
Oh, Corinne.
Green, you should come hang out with my kids. I'll put you in a
love
big
to.
room full of bubble wrap, and you guys can just have a hell
Yeah.
of
See you 4 hours later.
Metin, I don't think anything broke.
It's got to be a spear, right?
Well, we don't know.
a... Well, it
That's
says
my
Happy
guess.
New Spear, and now I remember saying I wanted some spears.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
There's going to be some blood shed in this room.
There are maybe 8 different layers of wrapping paper.
yeah.
You did a good job.
Well
Sorry,
wrapped.
I didn't realize it was going to take this long.
Now you got a free towel out of it.
A couple of free towels.
I'm going to go shower up.
All right, Steve, I think you should do the honors when we're on.
No, just do it. I'm watching.
We're going to get those towels in the auction house oddities.
Oh, look at that.
You guys are doing great work.
You- more work
You know
than
you've
the,
made it when you get a Christmas gift and
plucking
you
the
just watch
feathers.
people open it for you.
No, I
Oh,
should've-
pool noodles?
You guys got it. I'm enjoying watching my present be opened.
We got new
I
towels. We got new
outsourced that.
pool noodles.
This is really
Shit, I should have at least partially opened.
Yeah,
this
Corinne, man,
before.
that was bad
Sorry.
producing.
I'm a bad producer.
Oh my.
Corinne does some good producing and some poor producing, and this is not a 4.5.
No.
Or it is a 4.5.
Yeah. It's all in the
We
explanation.
can move on to.
Carefully.
No, we're so close. Yeah.
Carefully.
I got that.
Here, maybe just.
This is gonna be cool.
Sorry, audience, for my terrible producing.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll lay over that song again while it's happening. Just keep people.
You could probably still play it in. And
Yeah.
Just fast
They'll finally
forward the
finish
video.
These pool noodles, for folks who haven't happened on this trick yet, are super awesome for pre-building any sort of fishing rig with a leader.
That's true.
Right?
And then for
quick connections.
mooch and just to keep people entertained while we open this. If you got
20
pre-rigged
minutes
mooch
long.
and rigs, you can stick your banana sinker in the end, right? Stick your banana sinker in the pool noodle, and then wrap the mooch leader around that pool noodle and fasten the hooks into it. Should I think of more stuff to talk about?
No.
the pool noodles are also good for floating too.
Yeah.
Oh, like in a pool.
Yeah, in a pool.
I can
Yeah,
see that.
yeah.
I can see that.
once
some
the
poles.
full present is revealed.
Couple of good
I've
walking
got some,
sticks.
Yeah, yeah.
You better
Cal,
have had
Cal,
a
you
hell
like
of
to
a
go
day
12 miles a
fishing.
day.
Oh, smokes, man.
This is you right here.
This is
Yeah.
packaged.
You and Snoot.
Snort.
Damn
Please.
it. Damn it.
The whole roll is
Be careful now.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be sharp.
I think for the amount of time it took to wrap this stuff,
Oh
whoa.
my goodness.
Oh, that is
sick.
badass. Ladies and gentlemen, that was worth the wait.
These are Clovis Point
That is
tipped
nice,
hunting
man.
spears.
Wow.
Flint
Clovis
napped
Point.
by Metten
Oh,
and a former student. The points were hafted by a former student of his, Michael Wilson.
Holy cats.
that is cool.
Two of them
Oh,
are
just
English flint procured by
You
him
could shave that
from
mustache
the
off.
white chalk cliffs of southern England. And then the third one is Georgetown chert from Texas. It's the same kind of chert we used in the
I was going to say
Buffalo
that.
experiment.
Yeah, Georgetown, definitely.
and the wood is treated pine shafts.
I don't know you guys really well, so you're the ones I'm thinking about when I think about just wanting to just.
He's looking at you
I
hard.
know, he kind of was staring down. Big game.
Right
That
to
is
someone's
nuts.
ribs, man.
Max, can I see that big hoss there?
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Do you
I'm
wanna
gonna
see
keep
this one?
working down our list.
Yeah.
Everybody admire your
We
spears.
jousting?
Admire your spears.
Guys,
Oh, I'm
don't.
gonna have to see. I'm gonna have to ask you to
Don't
move
need
that spear
blood.
that you leaned right in front of the camera. There.
Wow.
Fellow wrote
Put
in.
it away.
This is part of the show where we do listener comments.
Okay.
Fellow wrote in, says 2023 is this is more bad producing. Good
No.
producer would have gone in there and wrote was.
But this was a quote from the guy who wrote in 2023.
You would have, a good producer would have wrote sick.
Fine. Okay.
Sick after that.
Yes.
SIC.
Pardon me.
It's got to
Two-
be tough being with a writer.
I'm just gonna leave.
2023 is considered. This is a listener thing. This is a good question. 2023 is considered a mast year, where acorn production and other nut trees have upwards of 5 times their typical production. I've never seen anything like the amount of acorns produced this year. I would love to hear the crew discuss their thoughts on the impact of a mast year on deer harvest. He says, and I'll have to take his word for this, deer harvest across the Midwest this year is way down. And the only consistent common theme I can find is that it's a mast year. I've hunted the same fields in central Wisconsin for 20 years and always see 20 to 30 deer out every night about an hour before sunset. And this is the first year I'm not seeing hardly any coming out to feed in the fields. But when you go through the woods, you jump all kinds of deer. I'll buy that.
I think Pat Durkin wrote it up. I think Michigan's one of the states that saw a pretty significant hunter participation decline for this season. So that's a reason for you can't have a lot of deer dying by hunters if there's not a lot of hunters out there.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then as we talked about, you want some real patience. Yeah. Sit in a tree and watch nothing happen. Get out of your tree, man.
What are they attributing the decline?
Well, if it's a really significant number, if you go back to like, I think there was a peak sometime in the 90s, early 90s.
Not the COVID pandemic?
No. Like a significant peak. You'll have to read old Pat Durkin's article. I think he wrote it up for the MeatEater.com.
I will read
little website you might be familiar with.
One thing I could say about this, what he's talking about is you'll find that people have a tendency, because people that are driving to work, driving around, you see deer in a field.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of guys are going to, like, they just instinctively are going to go sit at the field edge. You know, it's just, well, I'm going to go sit at the edge of the field and watch the field because I see deer out in the field. So yeah, the fact that there's a bunch of food I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that there's a ton of food in the woods would absolutely affect all that kind of stuff.
They don't have to
100%.
expose themselves because there's plenty of food under cover.
Yeah, they don't need to take risk. Talk to Clay. When I was saying acorns and not acorns, I was goofing on Clay. You talked to Clay about when there's a good mast year.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Well, he likes to talk about it because it gives him more chances to say acorns.
This is a Clay conversation.
Yeah.
He'd have a lot of fun with that.
He likes any conversation that involves acorns.
Mhm.
Is Clay successful on one of these years?
I don't know. I know that he's always looking for a tree that's raining acorns.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
it
he's
kind
find
of
many
like
of them.
nationally across the country, or it's a certain area?
Listen, man, this is I'm just reading this.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm trying to keep up. So there's a surplus of acorns out there, and the deer are staying in the trees and not out in the fields.
No, this is
According to
this is an
listener, yeah.
actual thing here.
This is a real thing.
No. What I'm saying is bumper crops of acorns is a real thing. Have you ever heard you ever heard of the thing predator swamping?
No.
So if you look at wildlife populations that are very synchronized in when they reproduce, the thinking is one of the advantages of being very synchronized is that the abundance of food overwhelms predators. And some of that stuff is gonna, like, if let's lay a big group of ground nesting birds, they all lay at the same time. Some of them are going to survive predation.
Mm-hmm.
But if they were going to all lay over the course of 2 months, and you had a population of predators pursuing those eggs, it's like they have a greater chance of just finding them because it's a slowly rolling out food source. So they use this term predator swamping, meaning animals that get in a big group and all drop their young at once. Then predators will get some, but the babies will quickly be up and running about. And it's more likely to survive.
Okay.
Trees, we had a guy sitting in the seat you're sitting in. Will.
All right.
A forester, and he came on and explained to us. What was that guy's name? He's a good guest.
Michael Snyder.
He came on and explained to us that they find something similar occurs in populations, communities of trees, where the oaks will, for whatever reason, now and then just totally kick ass and predator swamp the acorns. And you can go into stands of mature trees and find that a lot of those trees, as old as they are, have the same birthday. Meaning there's years that are just really good. They drop so many acorns, and then you get a bunch of recruitment. You get a bunch of oak recruitment because deer didn't eat all the damn things.
Okay.
You following?
Yeah. A little bit.
This is not something I've picked up through observation. This was just explained to me.
Yeah.
So out here, elk are like the example that I think makes the most sense to people. Elk calves, first 48 hours on the ground, most susceptible to predation. Then basically every minute past that 48-hour mark, they're more and more capable of getting up and hauling ass and running away. So if you think about making a tackle, right? Every tackle takes
He's perking right up.
He was a high school football player.
that pursuit angle, impact, recovery, reset, and do it all over again, right? It all takes time.
Mm-hmm.
So all the predators are out there trying to make these open field tackles on these calves.
Wow.
And that all takes time. And, they all can't be tackling everyone at the same time.
Got you.
Can I ask a
The angle
question?
changes.
Yeah.
Angles change, and there's more of them. There's
I
balls
love that.
popping up in
I
everybody's
love when you
hands.
talk ball to me, Cal.
This viewer who wrote this,
Yeah.
and he's talking about acorns.
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 No, he used acorns. Sorry.
Is it a big deal? Is this a problem?
Well, he like many good outdoorsmen, he's a curious student of the woods,
Respect that.
and so I think he's just curious.
Good.
I think that it would be a big deal if you found that you had a really low deer harvest, because it would be, is it that there's no deer around, or is it that something else changed? But worthy of discussion. But I think that he's just throwing it out there. But it brings up this issue I'm thinking of is just backing it up by this idea that masting trees will seem to, like, you don't imagine two different trees are talking to each other, you know, or I don't know, like, I don't know how it becomes decided by a stand of oaks, that it becomes decided that this year is the year we're all going to just rain down acorns. I have no idea. I'd love to understand it.
On the successful hunter side of things, there are groups of hunters that will, for whatever reason, be more happy complaining about the fact that there's so many acorns in the woods that the deer won't come out of the woods. And that's why hunting sucks this year. For whatever reason, that is more satisfying to them than changing their stand location to be in the woods.
That makes sense.
People
Right?
just love to complain.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's probably the people that are complaining about this are probably the people that didn't harvest deer this year. That's what I'm thinking.
Normally, I go out the first weekend and the first morning, this is what happens. And it didn't happen this year. So
Yep.
something is majorly wrong.
Guy wrote in, this is a good one. Now you want to talk about stuff that matters.
I'm waiting.
Well, I was asking him. No, when you say that to someone, you're not asking them.
No.
No, I wasn't. When
You're making
you
a
say
statement. You better make a
I was
statement
making
right
a
here.
statement
Yeah.
to you over there. Guy wrote in. Now we've covered on and off the ins and outs of New Jersey, experimenting with a bear hunt. They had a bear hunt. They lost a bear hunt. They got the bear hunt back. Thank goodness. They have the highest density, I think, of any state, bears per unit of space of any state. But this guy said there's a professional harasser. There's a woman, and she has a little posse of people. She lives adjacent to a large block of state land where guys will hunt. And she and this little anti-hunter posse will go out and harass hunters who are coming out of the woods with a bear. And this guy says him and his buddy got a bear. They put it on a log, Indian style, he says, which is referring to like tying it feet down to a log. When I've done that in the past, I find it sways in a very irritating fashion.
Yeah.
If you're ever out there doing this, get two logs, put one over each of your shoulder, because when you put it on one log, it just starts to doing. It's like a pendulum. They hike it out 4 miles, and lo and behold, they run into a group of people. And so he says that we do what you do in any hiking trail, and we go, "How you guys doing today?" And then proceeded to just get harassed, and then doxed. You guys know what that means?
I keep seeing the word pop up. I don't know what it means.
Someone reveals your
Personal
location.
info.
Someone
Yeah,
reveals
like
your
your
personal
address, your
information.
personal, yeah.
So this posse of anti-hunters doxes them because they get their license plate numbers and their images that they can put out on social media. They reached out to a game warden who said that they would look into it. And he's like, what can someone do? That is categorically illegal. I mean, even New Jersey has a hunter harassment law. You can't, if someone's legally hunting, it's illegal to come up and annoy them or harass them or try to molest their hunt. It's just illegal. If this is true, I'm just taking this at face value. If this is true and someone said, like, blew you off, like, oh, I'll take a look into it. If it's as presented, it's just a thing where that you can't do that. That's illegal. That should not happen to you.
Maybe hunters in each state should get to know and read the codified anti-hunter laws in their respective states.
Anti-hunter harassment.
Harassment laws. Yep,
Yeah.
sorry.
Because it is
Anti-hunter
like a
harassment
stupid
laws.
wording thing, right? Like these people didn't interfere with the hunt. They just harassed them when they came out of the woods with a bear, which, may not make it by the eyes of the law illegal the way it's written, right?
Yeah.
I would continually be posting pictures of bear ham smoking and bear chili and talking about the amount of people you fed with that bear.
I like that, Cal.
Yeah.
Dr. Randall, what did you determine about the quail article?
I was waiting for the payoff there.
Is it you who scratched it out?
Oh, I just removed it because we seem to have skipped it.
But I want to say a thing of interest from
Yeah.
there's this article we're taking a look at. It's about Tennessee's quail comeback and AI. And the article tries, in very tenuous fashion, in my view, to link the use of AI with a quail comeback. And the relationship is not, how would you put it? There's no correlation.
Yeah.
However, it's an interesting thing to do surveys to try to locate quail, which are their numbers are doing a little bit better in Tennessee, in certain places in Tennessee. As some people know, and many people in the South have experienced, bobwhite quail numbers have been at just depressingly low levels across a lot of the traditional range. Too many reasons why to name them all. Some people point to fire ants. Some people point to fire suppression. What am I missing?
Changes in trapping.
Oh, too many mid-sized. Yeah, a lot of mid-sized predators because fur prices have been so low. On and on and on. And this is talking about guys, researchers being able to put AI to use. Every time you read about AI, you feel like, oh my God, it's so scary. They're coming for my job. But here they're using AI to go out and take recordings, just recording ambient sound, right? So you can place a recording device out in some habitat and it records all the ambient sound. You imagine, well, what are you going to do now? You hire some grad student to listen to tens of thousands of hours of ambient sound recordings to be like, oh, there's one. I heard a quail, right? And then log where it was and when it was. And these researchers are able to take all of this. They got 40 some listening devices. They're able to take all of that and use AI to scrub out and identify the sounds of quail.
Yeah, and so it makes a case that this gives them a better understanding of, or it's a more useful way to
Closer to actual population.
Yeah, but it doesn't actually explain how it causally impacts
It
quail
doesn't
numbers.
say how quail are recovering.
Right.
Was the fun thing.
Well, this brings up one of my favorite things about media, and I can say this because I'm in media. The headline that really overpromises.
Yeah. Are you aware of the story? So I've done a bunch of work with Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever and greatly respect the organization. And when you're around, they employ literally hundreds of biologists at that conservation organization. And when you're around a group of these, the story always pops up. In the spring, they do a lot of nesting surveys. They try to get a general population survey, and then they can submit those numbers, and then the state can change the harvest regulations for those individual species. So like Steve was saying with quail, trying to listen for quail. Well, they also they do visual counts with pheasants, and they used to team up with all the rural. You guys heard a lot of that today. They used to team up with a lot of rural mail carriers.
Oh.
Okay. And they have these very specific.
That's sly.
Yeah. Do this very specific criteria of at this time in the morning, you drive this stretch of road and you drive it this fast. And then you report either what you see in the case of pheasants or what you hear and in this case, the famous kind of study that they talk about, or the instance rather, is on ruffed grouse. Because they get out and they drum and they display. And it sounds like a Honda generator.
It sounds like you trying to start an old lawnmower. Yeah. I can do it perfectly. You ready?
No, that's not it. It's more like this.
Wow, that's pretty good. I think it's
Very
more like
good.
this.
I love how focused he got doing
Yeah. In the zone right there, flow state.
No, it's like boom. No. Max had it.
So I want to say this is northern. It's either Michigan or Minnesota. I apologize for mixing the M states up there, but it's Michigan or Minnesota. And 30-year career of a rural mail route carrier.
That's such a. I never thought of that. That's such a genius thing to do.
I'm always impressed when
He's
I
like,
hear,
how long you had a job? He's like, I've been driving this roads for 20 years. You've been seeing a lot of pheasants?
Yeah.
And the counts are always dismal. Dismal.
First, you gotta be like, do you hunt pheasants? Because if you hunt pheasants, you don't get to participate. You're not the rural carrier.
Oh,
You're
exactly.
not the mail
Yeah,
carrier.
nope, nothing here.
Nothing. Haven't seen nothing. Not a one. It's shocking how few there are.
And then come around next fall and have a banner pheasant year.
This particular dude just flat out couldn't hear. Was just freaking deaf. Could not hear that. Yeah, and so you hear that story often in that circle. So that's where AI can come in handy. Kind of eliminates the bias, you could call it.
Do a little quality control on.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you a quick story. Nothing to do with any of this, but I keep thinking about it. Is Clay was talking to there's this down in Arkansas. There's this family, these old guys, and they really had just a long run of killing giant bucks. And other people would just get jealous and pissed. And so what you do when you're jealous of someone, you start like rumors about them. And Clay says to one of these old guys, a lot of people say that you killed all those bucks at night. And the guy says, you know how hard it is to kill one of those bucks in the daytime? Can you imagine doing it in the dark?
That's pretty funny.
Here's some big news. Are we doing this right? We're announcing this now?
Mm-hmm.
Listeners of the show will probably know the MeatEater Fishing Game Cookbook, which big bestseller. 500,000 of those suckers are out there in print. Well, the follow-up, it's usually bad. Phil, would you say it's bad when there's a sophomore effort? Is that always negative?
I feel like it's kind of a test. It's, like a band will put out a record. It's great. And that's like, well, let's see how their second one goes. I think this is.
But I think that's just you can have a great sophomore record. Yeah.
It's kind of like a benchmark.
This is the sophomore cookbook.
It's just I think it's just like an order, like an order.
Got it. So it's not like passing judgment.
Yeah.
I feel like I read like the sophomore album didn't do well.
Well, that's the sophomore slump is what they call it because it's a usual.
It's tough to follow
that's when you
up on your
separate
success
the
with
wheat. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to use that.
Okay.
The much anticipated follow-up.
There it is.
The much anticipated follow-up to the MeatEater Fishing Game Cookbook is publicating. That's not a word. Publishing. It's publishing April 23rd. It's available for pre-order now wherever books are sold. It is called the MeatEater Outdoor Cookbook. Wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire. For a long time, we were going to call the book From the Backyard to the Back Country, but felt that it was too cutesy. But you know what I mean. From the backyard to the back country, but it is the MeatEater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire. This book covers everything in shocking detail, stunning photography of how to take a marmot. This is just kind of making a point up front. How to take a marmot and cook it the way small animals were cooked by plains tribes on the American Great Plains, for one, where they would take small animals and just simply roll them around in the ashes and burn all their hair off and then roast them skin in. We talk about that as a setup, but then it gets into all manner of barbecuing, smoking, everything. Camp cookery. It's way more beautiful than our last book. More than 100 recipes for cooking outdoors, which includes everything down to frying fish, which is best done outdoors. I do mine outdoors. It's cool. It's got a lot of stuff. It has like a real coffee table book quality to it because some of the stuff you might not ever make, but is so badass looking that you'll just like to look at it. It's gorgeous.
Did the beer guts make it?
No, the beer guts aren't in it.
That's for the next book, the junior book.
Junior book. Yeah,
Cal invented a recipe this morning, which is guts and beer.
Phenomenal.
it was good.
4.5. It was really
4.5, yeah.
solid.
Out of 4.
We will be talking about this cookbook in greater detail later on, but I'm just going to remind everybody now. It's available for pre-order. Pubs April 23rd. And it is if you love the MeatEater Fish and Game Cookbook, this is that same great quality, highly tested recipes, but everything for cooking outdoors. Again, from having a big old party in your yard to cooking for you and your buddy on top of a mountain with a backpack and stove. Everything for outdoor cooking. Now's the part where you guys come in.
Hell yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't mean that.
Would you say April 29th?
I got to get that for the old man.
23rd.
23rd.
April 23rd? Yeah.
Well, we know these guys are fired up on food, so I think it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Get to that
segue.
Barnes & Noble. Get to where you need to go. Get that hardcover. Let it put it right there.
Good
As people
gift.
walk in and go, is that the new sophomore MeatEater? Hey, listen, that's a highly anticipated.
Is that the sophomore
The
title?
highly anticipated new one, yes.
You'll have to start pushing this even more a month before Father's Day.
Oh, we're going to push it
Oh,
heavy.
yeah.
This is just a prelude to the push because it's so good. We worked on it. I mean, we worked on it for years.
Pre-push.
We worked on it for years.
That's good.
We even had to hire, I'll tell you this will titillate the listeners, then we're done talking about it.
Titillate.
We had to hire firefighters to be there for some of our preparations.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like just in case there was a fire? Or
Because we were doing
taste
some of the
food?
stuff in the summer and just because of various issues. But I'm saying that's the kind of cookbook this is.
Yeah.
They
Lot
also
of
make
fire.
High
good
level. Was
models
that-
for the photography
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of ways to burn your fingers.
That should have been the subtitle.
Well, let me give you a couple for instances. How to take we do, so everyone knows like burying like luau style pigs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how to cook venison shoulders, venison legs in a half of an oil drum. How to put whole ducks and birds just on spikes, on sticks, and cook them like a ring. So you have a fire with a ring of birds roasting on sticks around the fire. But also how to throw a kick-ass catfish fry. So like really technical stuff that requires a lot of MacGyvering, making contraptions, making makeshift grills, making makeshift smokers, using souped up sophisticated smokers. It's all in there. If you like to go outside and cook, this is your book.
This is it.
What's your favorite? What's the most unique recipe in there?
It's a good question.
My favorite one in there isn't even in there, but there's pictures of it in there. It's like one of those things you can't really, it's not really a recipe, but it's a thing you talk about.
Mm-hmm.
There's two, because they both involve contraptions that I like a lot. Where I grew up, it was you would like if you got married, if your kid graduated from high school, if you turned 40, you would throw a pig roast. You would host a pig roast where you take a whole hog and put the apple in its mouth and cook the pig.
Yeah.
So we have a great little welded up contraption for doing that and talk about that. But it's not so much a recipe, it's a procedure. For a recipe, one of my favorite things is if you ever go down when you're in Mexico, particularly down the Yucatan Peninsula, and you see that they're making those tacos al pastor, where they have that vertical spit,
meat on
the meat rock,
Yeah.
a vertical spit mounted with layers down there. It's like layers of pork, and a pineapple sits on top of the spit, and there's a vertical heat source, and so it spins, and then they cut tacos out of that. So
That sounds incredible.
no, it's really cool. Tacos al pastor.
Yeah.
And I have my buddy Ronnie made me my own one when I got married. And that very it's called a trompo. And that very trompo, I aftermarket rigged it with a motor so you don't have to turn it by hand. But that very trompo is in the book, and it's how to make your own tacos al pastor so you can be like Mexico and have a sweet taco party with we use deer meat on a vertical spit. It's incredible looking. It's a real sight. It's got eye appeal.
And that didn't make the book. Just a picture.
That's in the book. That's very detailed description in the book.
You had me
Doing
sold
a
on the
hog roast
pineapple.
is like it's just a thing you got to talk people through.
It's a production.
It's a process, right?
Yeah,
Dig the
it's like,
hole.
is it 75 pounds? Is
the
it
hole.
200 pounds? Yeah, phenomenal book. All right, we're gonna turn to our guest now.
Let's
Will, Taylor, how do you guys want talk about your careers, will you? Your other careers, your pre-careers.
Football.
Yeah.
Yeah, ball.
We can talk ball.
You want that ball?
Yeah, didn't you feel bad the whole time? Like, man, we were pretty worthless in all these hunting
Yeah,
conversations.
no, yeah. There's a level of like
Because you guys are doers.
I like to
You're
think
not
of
talkers.
I like to think of us as like animals that live in houses, and then our parents got real, just like, hey, we're done with these animals, and they take us out in the woods, and then we met you guys, the outdoor dogs. First time they start talking about all this shit, and we're like, oh my god, we really have no idea what we're doing here. But yeah, football, we did that. So I played. I was at the Titans from 2014 until 2022, and that's where Will and I met. But as I told you guys before the show, I grew up in Arizona. Went to the University of Michigan, who I don't know when the show's coming out, but they are playing in the national championship on Monday.
Do you still feel an affinity?
So when I first left Michigan, I didn't at all. I was kind of anti-Michigan. And then when I was there, it was like 09 to 13, which is when we were just terrible. We're an awful football team. And I get drafted, and I was kind of like, whatever. And I played with these guys that went to Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, like all these teams that are like winning national championships over and over again. And they had like all this big pride. And when we got Jim Harbaugh, I started to feel a little bit more pride. And then he started doing bad. And I was like, get this guy out of here. What are we doing? This guy needs to go. And now, like, this is actually the first year, even before the year, I chose to be like a fan. Like I wanted to buy into being a fan of football and like watch a sport, being like my first year out of football. So it's been a cool
I think it's
year.
kind of a natural progression. If you imagine you grow up somewhere, all you want to do is get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
You get out of there, and then later you develop a nostalgia, and you're like, I should just move back there with my kids.
That's exactly you nailed it. Because when I was in Arizona growing up, I was like, the desert, ugly. It's not fun here. I want to go somewhere with 4 seasons. End up going to Michigan. My first winter, I had a pair of Vans on, probably the same jeans I'm wearing now, and a zip-up hoodie. And I was like, perfect, winter. Yeah, literally, I saw snow like 2 times in my life. The first one, I was like, if there was a transfer portal, which is now, I don't know how familiar you guys are with college football, but you can literally leave whenever you want, essentially. If that was established, I would have sent my ass back to Arizona in a hurry. I would have been gone. Thankfully, it wasn't established yet. But now, as I've gotten older, I'm like, man, something about an Arizona sunset, the desert, the climate, everything it's beautiful. We were talking about Cave Creek. It's like the only place in the world where you'll find like an old horse, a truck, and a Ferrari in the same parking lot.
Yeah.
And it's just such a unique, cool town. And so there is that level of nostalgia for sure.
Yeah. And then you had some like bad-ish injuries.
Yeah, I did.
More so recently, though.
Mostly recently. So I actually was extremely lucky. Like in college,
You told me today about getting knocked out on the field.
Yeah, that was fun. That was getting your bell rung. Getting your bell rung.
Yeah, but I didn't know that could happen. He was telling me Taylor was telling me he got hit in a way, and this is a thing that happens to people where you come to and you're
emotional.
Emotional.
Yeah.
They just told him that to make him feel better about crying.
We're like, no, this is the thing that happens, but he has everybody.
Yeah, it's all good.
Emotional.
No,
you don't look like a baby.
Now hurry up and get off.
Yeah.
Taylor was saying
that
when he said he's lucky at one point, and please don't let me get this wrong, so jump in. You were with the Titans for 7 years.
9
years. And at one point,
every year counts.
Well,
Right, Cal?
Oh, yeah, man. You were like the most tenured person on the entire team.
Yeah, my last 2 years with the Titans, I saw 100% turnover. So I was like the oldest guy in the room. There was a guy that played more years in the league than me in the room, but I was at the Titans for the longest amount of time. And it was a cool experience too, because our first year, my first game, we played the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City, and it was loud, and they have this thing during the national anthem. They say, "And the home of the," and the whole stadium yells Chiefs.
That's blasphemous.
It's and
call themselves Americans.
It startled me big time, and we won two games that year, and so and then the next year we won 3 games, and it was like we were a horrible franchise, and we won this big run of going 9-7 a bunch, finally having winning records, and then 2019 we go to the AFC Championship, played the Chiefs again in Kansas City and lost. We were up by 10 in the first quarter. But it was cool to be a part of something that was so abysmal at one point, and then help like grow it into something that at one point was an actual contender for a Super Bowl. Not anymore. They're tough year for the boys. Tough year for the boys.
Tough year.
Yeah, but getting knocked out. We played the Dolphins in 2018.
Longest game in NFL history.
In NFL history.
Oh.
There was like
It's like 7 or 8 hours long.
What?
Holy
Because
shit.
of all, there's a lot of storms, so we'd have to
weather
go back in
delay.
the locker room. Yeah,
Were you on the team too?
Right? Lightning.
yeah. That was the
okay.
year I was on the team.
that was the year we met, and I just signed this deal, and I came out in a Boss Hog outfit, like all white suit, white hat. I had a taxidermy beaver with me, and I kind of did this thing like Daddy's here type of.
I'll brag for you.
Go ahead.
Biggest contract for an O lineman in NFL history at the time.
Oh, I
Oh,
love
no
it.
kidding.
I love
Congratulations. That was nice.
Love
That
it.
was nice.
Yeah.
So I made this like big, like, theatrical thing about it. and Mike Vrabel, the head coach, pulls me in the office. He goes, "That was funny. It was good, but I'm just letting you know there's going to be guys that don't like that." And sure enough, dude, we throw a pick.
There's guys that don't like
Yeah.
ostentatious.
A little bit of of getting wild.
braggadocio.
Is that it?
Yeah. So we play the Dolphins in Miami.
that's
it?
Yeah. That's it right there.
Oh my goodness.
And we play the Dolphins. We throw a pick, and it's like towards our sideline. I take pride. I used to take pride. After this, I never took pride in it again. But like hawking down, trying to get a couple stats, get a tackle, like we talked about,
Yep.
being patient, trying to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And dude's coming down, and I'm starting to run like this, and I'm looking, and all of a sudden, boom, lights are out. And there's actually, I mean, it's kind of funny, but there's a hilarious video on YouTube of me like dead bodied on the floor. And our teams like it was a dirty hit. So like our team and the Dolphins like start getting in a scrum, and I pop up because I like go from being unconscious to very conscious. And I'm like looking, I see everybody fighting. And I go to get in it, and like trainers are grabbing me, like Kevin Byard, our safety. I think there's a picture of you right there too, grabbing me.
Yeah.
Like, hey Taylor, no, you got knocked out. And I was like, well, and I just start crying, like tears pouring down my face. I'm like talking normal, and our center Ben Jones like takes a towel and like puts it over my head, like he's embarrassed for me. Like, listen, brother, you need to get to the locker room as soon as possible. But yeah, that was a bit of a deal. That little knockout situation. You seen it?
I'm watching it right now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
Real.
it yet. but-
Dude, there's a dude on the Miami sideline just looking at the camera yelling, "Body bag, body bag."
The defensive line coach
Yeah.
on the Dolphins is like giving him a fist bump. I was like, Andre Branch is his name. He was a backup.
So did you?
Yeah, the toe
to
shot.
throw him in there.
And then,
So was it a clip or it was just?
no, it was a full,
So
it was
far
a full
outside of the
blindside
play
shot.
that-
Yeah,
okay.
the next year they actually made that play illegal. That type of hit illegal.
One of those
So-
ones where, Taylor's
yeah.
like pursuing to go get the ball carrier, and whoever's coming to block him, they don't even see him. So you're just like licking your chops, like, "Yeah, I'm about to tee off on this guy."
Right. Right.
Sure enough,
Yeah.
I don't
How
know.
do they define when they made it illegal? How do they define it? What's it called?
It's like a
Defenseless.
defenseless player. So like if you're not aware of the situation, if I'm pursuing you and someone's coming from this side, I would be defenseless from your hit.
Right.
I would have to be aware of your hit coming in.
God, how are you supposed to keep all that straight?
There's so many crazy
it's
rules
been
now.
like a transition for a lot of guys.
Offensive tackles, big target to tee off on too. It's
Yeah,
like-
if they're not looking,
yeah.
you got to tee off on them. You don't want to, because you're thinking you're about to get swallowed up by this boy.
My goodness.
Whoa.
So did you
Hey, all right.
did you get some tackles over your
Yeah,
career?
I think I had like 4 or 5. I used to.
Really?
Dude, yeah. We would do a
Wow.
good little spell.
Hey,
throwing
JP, check
picks.
that stat.
I-
Check that stat.
Awesome.
Check that stat. I think I had like 4 or 5 throughout my career.
All of
Not-
a sudden
not
you
a
were like,
season.
I can run. Watch out.
Oh yeah, you boys a little athletic out there. I was
All
moving.
right.
People be like,
That's
"White boy
great."
moving
Now,
like that?"
I don't want to continue to hype the boy, but you got to hype the boy when the time is necessary. Do you have the record for 40 time at the combine?
No, it was top 10 when I did the combine. Some dude ran like a 4.6 one time,
Oh, gotcha.
but I hit that 4.85 40.
And nobody tried to like pull you out to tight end or something like
No, I was ripping at 310. Like when you're of that size,
Nice.
that's when.
Nice.
Yeah, that's when you're.
And you don't want to try to move out that
Let's
end.
give
Like,
something.
left tackles were
Let's
allowed
give something for Randall to aspire
a lot of the
to.
cash.
Oh yeah, smart position
Yeah,
on
it's
the
the
line,
blind
right?
side. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to.
He's like, no, baby. I was talking to this guy the other day that was 310.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good right now. Yeah,
He's like all famous.
And if you're looking from a career standpoint, like a left tackle specifically is like a highly
Yeah.
touted, very high paid position. It's a premium position because it's very low supply and extremely high demand.
Well, you're gonna zip out and hit guys like this.
Yeah,
Right.
Willie.
Yeah, when he goes second level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Will and I, we actually played each other in college too.
You did?
Yeah, yeah.
We played each other feet. What was it? What are we, 2-2?
2012.
Did you know you played each other? Were you
no,
aware of
not
each
at
other?
the time. No, not until we
Well,
met.
hey, you see a white guy, a white linebacker with a last name Compton, you're gonna remember that guy. You're gonna remember that guy.
There
for
was
sure.
it was the first time we played against each other. I think it was 2015, maybe
no, the first
14
in the league, yeah, but the first time we played.
When was
each
your
other,
rookie year?
2014.
Okay, so 14
we played
where
at the or at the Commanders.
Yeah.
Excuse me. At Washington.
Yeah.
But we played each other in college once too.
Twice in college.
Twice in college.
You got one, I got one.
1-1, and then you
One
won
and one in the
NFL. Yeah.
But
There
the first
was-
time we saw each other, like Taylor's saying, like you see another white guy on the field, you're kind of like, hey, we're kind of doing it. out here.
We're beating the odds, right? We're beating the odds.
Like the first play happened, I remember like tapping him on the helmet the first time we we were just
Pat
on
him
the
on
field.
the ass. Hey, we're doing it out here, brother. We're getting it
surviving
going.
advance. Surviving advance.
But it is especially for linebacker, like offensive line. There's a plethora of white dudes out there, and I don't want to turn this into a white. It's not what this show needs to be about. But there is a lot of times, not a whole lot of white guys on the defensive side of the ball. Like I think there's a bunch of times you were on the field, only white.
Solo
dude.
dolo.
Solo.
Yeah, it's
white
a tip of the
chocolate
cap.
out there ripping
white
around.
chocolate. Yeah. Soul Patrol.
Yeah, it is. It's an interesting world, man. But we met in 2018, and we'll talk about your career. I've been going off about mine.
Yeah, he did you a great service.
I'll do.
Of rolling out highlights.
Yeah.
So can you reciprocate?
When he starts, I'll interject. Trust me, I'm great at interrupting people. I will definitely. When I find my moment, I'll be.
You'll
here.
throw it in there.
Yeah.
So out of Missouri.
Out of
Let's start
Missouri,
there.
my career. I thought I was going to be
Out of Compton, Missouri.
Yeah. Small town, Bonne Terre, Missouri. Shout out Bonne Terre. I thought I was going to be the next Walter Payton as I was growing up, and realized fairly
Because you're just
quickly,
way better than everybody.
Yeah, as a running back, you're playing both ways, and you want to be an offensive guy. You want to score touchdowns, but you learn very quickly that that's not going to be your future. Got recruited, went to Nebraska, played at Nebraska for 5 years, went undrafted, was with Washington for 5 years, the Titans for 2, and the Raiders for 2. But the Titans and Raiders, I was like, 2018, I was on the Titans that year. Then I was a free agent, went out to Oakland. Then I was a free agent, back to the Titans. Then I was a free agent, then went with the Las Vegas Raiders late that year. And then that's kind of been my journey. More of a road dog
Can
than
you
the big guy.
just explain the mindset of a free agent versus a mindset of a signed player? What's the opposite? Contract player.
The mindset, like, what do you mean? Like if the contract is coming up, or
yeah,
being
because you're
on
not. They're all one year
yeah,
contracts.
when you're on your rookie deal, you have like a 3 or 4 year deal depending on where you got drafted. Like being undrafted, I was on a 3-year deal. If you're drafted, you play 4 years, and if you're a first rounder, there's a 5th year option. So there's a lot of those business dynamics that go into it. But fortunately, I got to play for Washington for 5 years. The first year I was practice squad the whole year, and then the second year, which is where my initial contract basically kicked in, like they kind of had me hostage from the business standpoint for a couple of years. And I mean, I was kind of like cutting my teeth in Washington in year 2 to where I established myself going into year 3 and 4 for sure, or years 3 through 5. So that mindset was more of like, you felt like you were part of the bigger picture. You were looking on when you were going into the off season, you're like looking to build on the year you just had, or which guys are we going to bring in, who potentially you might draft. I know for myself, the position I was in, every draft for me every year, you didn't want a team to draft anybody in your spot because you kind of just, the pecking order that kind of happens in the politics of it all. Like with Tennessee, I became a free agent, signed to Tennessee on kind of a low 1 year for 2 deal. And it was kind of one of those situations where it's kind of like a prove it deal. So you want to play well in that year to get like a 2, 3, 4 year deal, right? And that year when I signed with Tennessee, the draft comes around, they draft a linebacker in the first round. So
you're you got the crosshairs on my back.
I remember sitting at the bar in Germantown in Nashville, and I was just thinking, damn, like you just kind of know what time it is. Like that guy's going to play. So, you got to kind of be like fluid. It's like a very fluid mentality because, there are times like when I got done with Tennessee that first year where when we started the podcast, my mindset was I've put together 6 years and I'm basically just going to bet on my resume because I I've tasted it too much to where I don't want to be a guy on a 90-man roster and try to make the 53. Like in my brain, like I'm a 53 guy. So I'll just bet on guys getting hurt and then getting called up or signed in the middle of the year right before the season starts, and kind of took that approach for the rest of my career, unless I was able to establish myself again to get like a multi-year deal, which didn't happen, but I got to take that same approach. So that's kind of like how it changes.
Yeah.
Like if you're, in Taylor's spot, and he can speak to this, but when you're in those spots where you're part of the future and everything else, you might go back to the table and start renegotiating a year, maybe two in advance to kind of lock in your future. Like Taylor was a guy who never wanted to go anywhere else, which is you're not telling that to the organization because you're trying to play that game of, you're trying to play that game of leverage, but ultimately you try and get yourself locked into that same situation because you hate switching locations.
But is there the same level of comfort in your position as a free agent as opposed to somebody who's got this multi-year contract? I can't imagine.
Comfort, no,
not at all.
No, not at all.
Like there's I feel like only the paranoid survive in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be paranoid at all times.
We had someone else. We had another player on recently. Derek Wolf was on.
Oh, Derek. Good dude.
Yeah.
For the
Well,
Broncos.
he had a couple things he talked about. One thing he talked about is just that, that sense of someone's coming for you.
There's
someone coming up that wants your job. You're always fighting, you know what I mean? You never like just relaxed into it.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's always some kid coming out of college and wants your job.
Because there's different levels to that, obviously. Like in Will's position, being an undrafted cat and working to get on the roster those first couple of years and fighting through the fringe essentially to become an established part of a franchise is one thing. When you're drafted, like I was drafted in the first round, you have to mess up really bad to like get essentially not have those 3-4 years. So some guys will kind of take a back seat. Oh, I'm good. I made some money, all that. But if you don't constantly think to yourself, hey, someone's going to try to take something from you. There's some kid that's a freshman in college right now that's going to get drafted and try to take your job. Like there always has to be some sort of like, they're coming feeling.
Yeah.
Like there's like some sort of paranoia.
And
it really is.
In
like
your situation too, like, when you care about what you're doing and you want to play at a really high level or perform any job at a high level, like, and you're a first rounder, like you want to be able to hold the standard of, I want to be the guy that they think I am throughout your career. So then when you do have lows, like I know that just goes on in your mind, like, man, I gotta play better. They expected me to be a starter this year. I don't feel like I'm playing at starter level. Like all these different paranoias are constantly in your head.
There's a big world for self-doubt, a massive world for self-doubt. And it's like a very ruthless and cutthroat business. Because when you go to college, if you're lucky enough to get offered to a school, you're there for 3 to 5 years. If you can leave early, you do. And sometimes you redshirt and you do the whole thing. Will and I both redshirted and played the 4 years after that. But when you go to the NFL, it's like if you're a cat that's, let's say, 4th round to undrafted, you don't have 2, 3, 4 years to develop. It's like
even if you signed that 3-4 year deal,
right? So there's guys. I remember the first time cuts would happen, and back in 2014, the way cuts were, there's 4 preseason games, and then the 3rd preseason game, they would go from a 90-man roster to a 75-man roster. And then after the 4th preseason game, you go 75 to your 53, which is your team. And then you'd have about 10 guys on practice squad who aren't getting paid salary, like the salary you would get if you're in the NFL, but you're there, you're practicing, you don't have to be at the games, that type of thing. And you'd be around guys that are like kind of excited about the season. How do you think we're going to do? And then 2 weeks later, they're, weeping, bringing their playbook because they know they're getting cut right then and there. And you have to change your mindset in such a hurry to know that, okay, there's no time to develop. Like any weak point in your game that will expose you, you better work on that craft immediately. Otherwise, you could be sent out the door at any moment.
Mm-hmm. And with obviously all sports, but with football too, like it's such a performance-based business. Like you're going to practice, you're watching every rep of practice in the team meeting and position meetings. Then you got to, refocus for the next day, the highs and lows. Like you're just constantly being evaluated every day. So there's never a level of like comfort, even if you are good, because you still want to play at a very high level. Like every guy who's in a starting lineup ultimately like wants to be a Super Bowl champion, or they want to attain being a Pro Bowler. Like they all want to be the best. If you're a guy who's a backup, you're kind of just waiting for opportunity to be a starter. If you're kind of like 3rd or 4th string or kind of on that fringe, you're trying to fight so you can be part of that crew who gets to look at each opponent, as like something to look forward to versus like your team is all of your opponents because you've got to like make the team. So there's always like a different level, but it's like performance based every day.
Like
Do you ever, with the path you took, do you ever get money, like, a chance to make real money, or is it real, like, you're sort of living hand to mouth all the time?
No, I had opportunities. It was like, so practice squad, if you're playing on practice squad, like my practice squad salary my very first year was $112,000 was the salary.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so you're making solid money, but compared to being active, you're making my rookie salary. Say I was playing that very first year, it's like $450, and then it goes up more after that. Your chance to make the big money is in your second contract, your third contract. I know for me, my biggest one I had was that 1 year for two with Tennessee, and when I was like a restricted free agent. But the year to year after that, I was like a 1 year minimum guy. But the longer you're in the league, the more that floor goes up.
Got it.
But if you're like, Taylor can speak to this, like when you're trying to get that second contract, when they tell guys like you got a lot of, X, Y, Z, like Taylor's a cat, to where, hey, in year 4, when did you sign your deal? Year 4?
Year 4 going into 5.
Yeah, going into 5. Like Taylor, he put, he took advantage of all those first 4 years to put himself in a position to make that lucrative deal. And that's where guys, where the guarantees happen, like, a 5-year deal for X amount of millions of dollars. And then after that, again, in the NFL, you just basically take your salary or your contract and cut it in half. Like if you're a 5-year guy, the majority of vets who sign like a 5-6 year deal, like think 2 or 3, because once your guaranteed money's up, you're back to having to earn it at all times.
At all times. It's a bit of a deal, man. It really is. Mm-hmm.
So tell how you then met.
Yeah, so I told you in the truck a little bit. Yeah, we can bounce back and forth.
You want to tell our love story?
You want me to?
We can go back and forth.
It's really cute because you guys friends thought you'd be best friends.
Yeah, so Will coming from
from
the Redskins, I remember I was sitting in the cold tub and just kind of surfing the bird Twitter at that point, and I see this tweet, or it's an article. It's like Will Compton signs with the Tennessee Titans. He will be best friends with Taylor Lewan.
Blake Lawrence had the tweet, and then that tweet was used.
Like they just had a feeling you'd get along.
It was like getting your marriage arranged. And I was like, kind of like, hell yeah, dude. When's my best friend gonna get here? And so Willie shows up, and they were clearly right immediately. Like we established our friendship very quickly.
What was it that they were anticipating you were going to bond over?
I just think we both, like when you're in the media, when you do media, some guys handle themselves saying as little as possible. Some guys just stick with the game plan. I was much more theatrical. Will is a wordsmith with his thumbs, the way he was putting out tweets and stuff like that.
Yeah, that review of the gut beer.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
He reviewed that dish.
Yeah.
And I thought he had studied up.
Yeah.
And made up a thing ahead of time.
Yeah, like he'd been sitting there the whole time being like, this is what I'm going to say.
Yeah, when I get my chance,
it was great.
When I get a bite of that stuff, here's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, very premeditated. Will Compton is very premeditated the way he handles himself. But for whatever reason, people are like, these guys are going to be boys. And the first time we met was probably in the lunch hall.
Yeah, probably Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Because Campanero, like, me being a free agent coming in, you're kind of like leaning to the other free agents who just get signed because you're like the new guys, right? So we would sit at breakfast and, chop it up and have fun and laugh and stuff. And I remember one time, Taylor came over and like sat down like, hey, boys, what are we talking about? I'm trying to laugh. Like, and then it kind of like just grew from there. I mean, I stayed at the Candlewood Suites. It was like a hotel right down from the facility. Just
classiest place in the swankiest part of town. Yep.
And that's where that's where they put the free agents, and you'd basically just prolong your stay until you felt like you had an idea of if you were going to be, with the team for a year, because you don't want to sign into a year lease and thinking I might get cut.
So you got to live with other dudes who are trying to make it too?
No. The minute you're outside of your rookie deal, you don't get paired up with roommates anymore. But when you're rookie in those first couple of years, like they would put you with guys in the hotel, like when the team's going to the hotel.
Then it's just all competition all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
There's got to be some real hits and misses on the roommate situation.
Yeah, I had not to get too off tangent. My very first roommate, he did a terrible job at missing the rim at night, going to the bathroom, and he never cleaned it up. And it blew my mind. He would shave and get stuff all over the sink, and I'm just thinking, bro, we're sharing this.
You sound a little squeamish to me.
Yeah. You just go in and you're going in the middle of the night, and you step in some piss, and you're just thinking, what are we doing, brother? Like, turn the light on. Figure it out.
He wasn't a kicker, was he?
No. He was an offensive lineman. I mean, there's some dirty animals.
The offensive linemen are traditionally very gross individuals.
But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then we started bonding over. as we circle to the podcasting world, we bonded over a lot of podcasting. Rogan, Ben Greenfield, he's big into like a lot of performance stuff, biohacking. And so with our, what we were doing, we called each other accountability buddies, to where we'd be doing the sauna, the cold tub, like we'd be doing all the stuff with each other. Yeah. And then Taylor would always, he's somebody who he loves hard. So he would always want me to come over to his house like every day. He would just open it up for me every day. So he was kind of like the one, like, hey,
kind of like a big brother though.
Yeah, kind of like big bro.
I forced him to be a friend.
Yeah.
Sure.
He would call me. He'd call me. I'd be on speakerphone with him and his wife, who I'd yet to meet. Like, I was just telling Taylor about this tweet you had. Like, remember Malcolm Butler? Like he talked about. I thought you was a kicker because you seem like you got a construction worker body. And I was just thinking, what? Come on, but and then it would just ascended from there, man. We were boys. We were boys.
Can you guys do your handshake?
This little thing right there. I don't know where
that's a small one. We got a bigger one.
So there's a big hug involved and stuff like that.
And that was April, May, and then he's invited me to his wedding, which was in June, and I felt very like I'm not like the most committal. Like I'm like, and they're like, no, you're going. You have to go. You have to go. Like we already got the spot for you. Yeah. You have to go.
The room's taken care of. You have to be there. You're just gonna buy your flight.
We ordered your chicken breast or roast beef.
Yeah, exactly.
Catering is this much per plate. Don't be a dick.
Yeah. And then from there, man, we worked out together in the summer at the Vanderbilt University.
Yep.
That's where we trained together in the off season, and then we kicked it off once the season hit, and we were that's the homie.
That's awesome.
That's the boys.
Good story. And well told.
I got a question. So you guys have both like switched teams and moved. What's that like on like your wives and girlfriends? Like, is that tough?
Yeah, the time when Oakland,
or especially if you have kids too, I'm sure that's.
Yeah, I mean, my wife that I have now, we were just together when I went from Washington to Tennessee. Then I talked her into moving to Tennessee, and then I forget if we were engaged when I went to Oakland. No, I don't think I was, because that was the year I proposed to her. But when you're leaving, so the Oakland situation happened, and that was like that was middle of the year. I was with the Saints for like a cup of coffee, like 10 days for the 4th preseason game. They called me up, and I was like, oh man, I'm about to sign with the team right before the season starts. I didn't have to do any training camp. I didn't have to bang.
Training camp's the worst.
The
time
worst.
Of year.
So I didn't have to be out in the heat. I didn't have to do all that stuff. I'm like, man, I'm about to be on the squad, like just from the start of the season. I get hurt in the 4th preseason game, get a injury, get cut, injury settlement, and then I'm kind of like on the couch until middle of the year, and then that's when Oakland called. There was a big part of me that didn't want to go at the time, and I think it's just because I just didn't want to travel, and I was just kind of being a bitch. But my wife, she basically like, hey, you got to go, you have to go. It does suck, but ultimately, it's for a short period, like 2 months tops at that time. And so then, when the season was over, she'd come out and visit, then I'd come back home. And I never really had to do it like while we were married, while we were with a kid. I almost did last year when I signed with the Atlanta Falcons, which that would have been weird. But again, I would have only been gone for like a month or two. So I never had to experience it at the level that other guys have. Like we've had teammates to where they have a house or a place in the city, like say Nashville, and then their family stays back because they might have kids who are already going to school and stuff. Yeah. So they don't want to take them out of school like some of the older heads. And so they would just travel back and forth whenever they could, or just host them out for a game.
Yeah. When Will went to the Raiders that one time for those couple of months, the Titans actually played the Raiders in Oakland. It was like the second to last game in Oakland.
Yeah, in the Coliseum, yeah.
And there was this kid there. He's like now one of the best pass rushers in all of the NFL. His name is Max Crosby. He went to Eastern Michigan. He's an absolute stud. And he apparently, like, Will walked in and he's like, yo, the boy, which is like kind of like our call thing for Bussin with the Boys, is like he like watched the show. He was like about it.
It's cool.
Well, we go to play the Raiders, and Will tells Max, he's like, every sack you get on Taylor, I'll give you $500. Like Will was plotting my demise before the game. The NFL's hard enough, and then you're putting like a financial incentive under it. Thank God it didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
That's amazing.
I was stressed out about that.
What? Because we did throw out some stats there for Taylor. The sacks are the thing when you're a linebacker. The thing.
Yeah.
Did you ever get anybody?
Oh, brother.
Get anybody.
Let me tell you something.
If you want to pull it up, I'm sure you'll find it. But there's a sack out there that's floating around that people like to reflect on once a year. And when I say people, I mean myself. But yeah, I had one sack to my name. One sack. Sam Bradford. dabbed on them as well. It was one of the highs of my career for sure. And then, I don't want to get to 3 interceptions.
Nice.
How many tackles?
It's in the 300s.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Gotta love the tackles.
So you were you playing outside?
No, I was inside off the ball.
Okay.
So I was never like
Yeah.
You see these short arms, like I'm no pass rush expert. Taylor blocked me a couple times in practice, which really pissed me off because they were walkthroughs. But
It was a jog
never,
through. It was a
never.
jog
I was
through.
And he just
never
holds
gifted
you out here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Never
well-
gifted in the pass rush category.
Yeah, because Will he's an off the ball linebacker inside the box, and he's got the green dot.
playing
green
from the
dot.
neck up.
Yeah,
We're playing from the neck
He's
up.
instinctive. Here we go. Compliments. Will's an extremely instinctive, able to see formations of offenses and know essentially where the ball is going to go. If it's going to be a run or a pass, like the man is a student of the game. But when he was with the Titans, there were a few situations where they would, it'd be a call that would send them into a bear front. And a bear front is like end, tackle, nose, tackle, end. And so it's like 5 down linemen, but you're taking a Mike linebacker and you're putting him at the end spot. And they put Will on me, and it was a run play. And he's my boy, so I kind of wanted to give him a little bit of the business. Let him know what Daddy was working with a little bit.
It was a jog through.
Yeah, it was a jog through.
Let him know who's boss.
So I took him to the sideline one time. He's like, "Yo, what are we doing? What are we doing out here?" Get all mad.
Yeah.
But
You got to finish through. I mean, come
gotta
on.
Play
do
to
that.
the whistle.
There's a funny.
They're watching
We were
the whole time.
We were in Arizona one time. We're banged up a little bit, and we laid through on the YouTube and threw on like the 2012 Michigan versus Nebraska game. It was in Nebraska. And we were watching a whole bunch of, we were just watching the game, reminiscing on, this is what this call is. Like, just a couple of guys, a couple of has-beens, really enjoying looking at their old craft. And there was one play, Michigan was getting dusted, and I got a hold of Will on one play and took him to the sideline.
did.
Will threw a punch at me in the game.
Yeah, like
Before we knew each
strong
other.
shoves.
Nah, it was a close fist.
Yeah,
It was a close fist thrown at me.
And then Taylor's
Alleged-
he looks at
alleged- What we doing?
Taylor looked at the ref like, hey.
Yeah, I was crying like a little bitch.
We worked him though. Let's
That's
like
awesome.
Yeah. Our quarterback got hurt, but
So we duck hunted today and shot yesterday. Talk about your in the past. What kind of firearms experience do you guys have?
I mean, I go on an annual hunting trip with the boys. We have a little Texas group that goes down in South Texas once a year, but I wouldn't consider
What do you
it
guys do?
a whole lot of hunting. Whitetail and nilgai,
Okay.
and then some hogs. We've gotten the hog hut a couple times, but that's a lot of fun. But growing up, I didn't do a whole lot. Like my dad, unfortunately, massacred a whitetail in front of me when I was a young pup, and I never went back in the woods after that.
Really turned you off.
Yeah, it turned me off, and because deer season was always in football season, and I just never had that itch to go hunting. He didn't
You
have
wanted
his,
to play- you wanted
he
to
didn't-
play.
Yeah, he didn't
Will
have it.
said that there was it was like a reload follow-up shot situation.
Oh yeah, probably
you know.
5-6 shots. It was my dad was not happy about it. It wasn't. He hated it. He hated it. He hated it for me. He hated it for everybody. But my dad, my old man, we didn't have a tree standing on, so we'd just be sitting against a tree, and I'm falling asleep half the time. So I'm thinking man, I don't really care to hunt a whole lot right now. So I just never really got into hunting. But I've been clay shooting a few times, so not a whole lot, but I guess enough to work around the barrel a little bit.
Yeah.
yeah, for me, it was, I've been clay shooting probably a handful of times. My dad used to take me a little bit when I was 11 or 12, but really never been hunting. I've been in 2 different hunting situations. One, I was down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana with one of my buddies, and his grandpa had a tree stand in the backyard, and we kind of just sat there for 2-3 hours. And I just thought, what are we doing out here, man?
Is that what you said? You saw a butterfly.
Yeah, so I saw literally, I remember sitting there, I saw a butterfly and a bunny rabbit, and I literally just followed the butterfly for a while, got bored, went down.
Cal,
I literally thought to myself,
patience.
Yeah. So maybe I just take out this bunny with this 30-06 real quick. But I didn't. I didn't.
You didn't?
No. And then that was it. And then a couple years ago, I had a buddy in Nashville, Tennessee, Ford Tomlin. He took me, his family's got a farm, and we went turkey hunting. It was the last week of turkey season. Did not see one turkey.
Did you hear any?
Yeah, I heard a couple.
That's the
You
best
want
part.
to know what that sounds like?
What's that?
You want to know what that sounds
Yeah,
like?
go ahead, Max.
Go ahead.
What you got for us?
Anybody that tells a turkey story, you can tell if he's a turkey hunter. When he gets to the gobble part, he doesn't do a gobble. He goes, pow.
You got a good turkey? You got a good turkey?
No, it's pow.
That's what it is.
So I didn't see nothing. And so, so I've shot a gun a couple of times, but literally today was the first organized hunt that was successful for me.
Yeah.
And it was I told you while we were sitting in the blind, I will go back. I will come back here. I will go anywhere and do it again. That was awesome.
You guys were a really quick study shooting. I know you've done some shooting before, so whatever. You didn't come in being like, I know all about this. Get out of my way.
Yeah.
But Cal and I were talking about it, and we were talking about how the hunting with you, seeing you shoot, wow, it was so fun. It was like you spent your whole lifetime getting coached and absorbing information.
And then of trying to apply that information, right?
Hand-eye coordination, situational awareness.
Yeah.
I don't know, like you want to be successful, competitiveness,
Yeah.
drive.
Yeah.
It makes you realize that I was saying to Cal, like, you spend your whole life trying to get good at something, and then you see someone be proficient at some aspect of it really quickly, and you sort of wishing that they can't figure it out.
Hey, you were praying on her downfall.
So it'd be like, well, it just goes to show how constructive all these years have been. These guys can't hit a duck to save their lives. And you're like, oh shit, they hit ducks just like all my friends do. Who've been duck hunting since they were 9.
Hey, Steve, now you missed a few clays yesterday.
Yeah, you do have to say that.
I did.
I would say that the clay shooting part was more nerve-wracking than the first duck coming out.
Yes.
Because it was all of us really meeting for the first time. And you're like Jimmy rigging this
there's
thing on a
nothing
tire.
worse, dude. There's nothing
We're going to
worse,
try to get a couple, and Will, being a brave boy, like, he's like, I'll go first. And he misses it. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to miss. I'm going to miss everything.
I think part about duck hunting too is like you're so in the moment and like you just kind of black out and your instincts take over.
Yes.
Like that's what happens to me a lot. And it's just like the minute you start to think about it is when you start to miss.
I feel like I shoot so much better
When it's just like a fast one.
Plus,
coming.
I'll point out that a duck is about 6 times bigger than a clay pigeon.
Yeah.
But I shoot so much better when I'm not standing there being like, okay, I'm going to say ready. And then when I say ready, this is all I'm going to do. And I'm not going to do that. It's just better when you just do it.
Yeah, it's like something just comes in and you're like, oh, boom.
We used to put people through something just excruciating and still do it as we did yesterday, which is like in filming MeatEater episodes, oftentimes you'll have someone come in and they flew in with their rifle. So then it's like, well, we got to go test your rifle. We got to check your rifle, make sure it didn't get knocked off of 0. So then here's this person, they just got off a plane. There's like 8 people staring at them. You put the target out there.
And you always have some place to be. That's the most fun part. You're always on a schedule where it's like,
hey, we got to get going.
It's getting dark. We're all 8 going to watch you shoot.
Oh, my God.
And
It's
then
gonna
we
be
can
really
go get
awkward.
dinner.
It's gonna be the only person it's gonna be more awkward for if you shoot poorly. It's gonna feel awkward for me, so I'm gonna resent you for that reason. It's gonna look very awkward for you.
Yeah, we started shooting yesterday. It get real quiet. Everyone's standing behind you.
And it's like you guys are.
You kind of pretend you didn't see it.
You
Just
guys are
gonna
like
look away.
Yeah. Oh,
you guys are like the brand in the outdoor game. And I won't speak for you, but I know coming out here, I didn't necessarily have my arms all the way around that. And then the buzz of us coming out here from my buddies or people that knew we were coming, it almost put a little bit more, it put more pressure on us or more pressure on me. Like when we put out a photo and like everyone's like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And you're just thinking, man, these guys, I knew they were good, but I didn't know it was like, the following was like this, so everything we're out there doing, I'm just thinking like, man, I hope I'm good for the MeatEater guys. Like I hope I can hold my own. Like,
hope I don't shoot one of these guys in the foot.
Yeah, you talking about guys there's a difference between getting shot and getting peppered, and I'm thinking, oh my God, that is wild.
We could have sent you out. We could have sent you out for a peppering today. I'd be like, keep going. Keep going. Okay, stop there. We're gonna pepper you now.
Just put the gun at you, shoot.
No, so how did you feel about the duck hunting? Give me some of your impressions from duck hunting, the actual act of duck hunting, right? Not just the preparation.
I loved it. I thought it was awesome. Like again, the annual hunt we do, it kind of like when you're out there before the sun comes up, you see the critters coming out, you kind of just see like the nature and everything else. You kind of like understand why everybody is so into it. And it's one of those things where I still haven't went from 0 to 1 by buying myself a rifle or anything like that yet. But it's one of those things you leave and you're like, man, I gotta like dive. I gotta get into the sport because I have buddies that travel all over the country. Like, all the spots in Arizona, Colorado, Utah, everywhere. And it just seems like a lot of fun. So coming out here, like getting to experience duck hunting, like I've always heard that duck hunting is like all time. And so getting to do it at the level we got to do it on the the grounds we got to do it on, it was just like it happening in real time and we were knocking them down. It was so much fun. And again, like getting to do it with you guys, like being like, oh, okay, like, you know, you want to impress the squad. You want to impress the boys.
You impressed me. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, that was firing me up.
I was very impressed.
When one would go down and we'd all be like, yeah, it's like,
okay.
that's sick, man.
Oh,
And it was unique because like when we're talking about the hunt and you're saying it's spoiled guy duck hunting because of the blind and how it's set up and the way you guys are explaining it, in my mind, I'm essentially painting the picture of what it's all going to be like, and then you show up and it's completely different. So really, when I first get there, I'm like really just trying to just be aware of all the stuff going on. You hand me the decoys, and you're like, all right, go set those up over there. And I'm like thinking, oh my God, I don't even, is this a knot? Like, do I just pull a string here? You know, like,
do I put these on land?
I pulled Max this time. I'm like, hey, so how do I throw these little decoys out?
Taylor ruined all the decoys.
And I have a confession. I'm the one who singled out and pulled out the duck, and I was like, hey, do I just throw this out in the water? And you're like,
Yeah, so-
how'd that get off the thing? And I'm just thinking, I just kind of stepped back, and I was like, oh, I gotta go.
So listen to this. So Will comes over to me and hands me a duck without a weight on it, and I'm like,
This is
yeah,
Max.
sometimes this like falls off, and I look at it and the clip's like fully unclipped from the weight, taken through the loop out, and like the string with the weight on it is
said,
like
"Do I
still
just
on the
throw this out there?"
carabiner. And he asked me, he goes, do I just set this out there? And I look at it and I'm like, shoot, there's no weight on it. Like,
He goes back and I didn't say a word. I was like, yeah, I don't know what
I got real quiet. And then
Because Steve's got that
found-
light on the water. He's like, we're going to go from here to here. And I'm like, all right.
Well, I found the string with the weight on it, and I was like, okay, I know what happened here.
So you knew?
I knew
That's
right away.
awesome.
I just didn't want to say
That's so
anything. So
funny.
I was
And
like,
the wild thing is like you were so focused on your dog cow the whole time. You were so fired up.
Oh,
And
I
Steve,
loved it.
you're just, even when we had to do the beaver trapping after, that was like impromptu. You're just a man on a mission. So like, all right, go do this, and then you're trudging through the water and all that, and I have to like assume how to throw it out, pulling Max aside, throwing it, everything out there.
He said to grab the railroad thing. You pulled out like some.
Oh yeah.
You pulled out some weapon. He's like, no, that's not it.
We had to go put a trap out for Mark. And it was like kids with their dad, like me, Will, and JP. He's like, all right, we pulled this through the cemetery, and you're literally 10
jumps
10
over the
paces
fence
in front of us. Like you're just working. It goes and jumps the fence and look back at the boys like, what the fuck? We're supposed to jump this fence? I hop at my knee. I'm like, oh my God. He's like down the hill. I'm like, hey, do we need to come with you? He goes, you stay there for a second. I'll be right back. So I old fat guy body over the fence, and we're kind of just watching you just move. And he's like hunting, looking around, picking stuff up. That's not it. And we end up getting we get the truck down. And
hey, did he do one of these? Like,
no, yeah. Oh, dude, he's like looking at it, look at that. All right, and I'm thinking to myself,
I
like,
don't remember needing to taste anything.
like, this is a man out here. And we end up getting back in the truck and going down the hill. And Steve's like looking around. He's like, God, where is it? I'm an idiot. And he starts calling people. I need you to bring X, Y, and Z, the thing we ended up using with the beaver.
The
What was it?
caster lure.
Yeah, the caster lure. And he goes, Taylor, you know in the back right corner, there's a steel blah, 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 blah.
A railroad tie plate.
A railroad tie plate. And I'm like, yeah, I got you, brother. And I start looking through. I'm like, what the?
Taylor's like taking a minute. JP and I are just giggling.
I pull out, like there was like a shovel. And
You pulled out a steak puller.
Yeah, steak. I'm like, hey, is this what you need? He's like, no, it's flat. And I'm like, Will, get over here.
But he's not laughing. That's what makes it so funny. He's like, no, just keep looking.
When you were kids, didn't you crush pennies on the railroad tracks and notice how they hold them all together?
There ain't no railroad tracks in Cave Creek.
Then he's down in the water, and he's like, hey, when you guys got a pocket knife? And I was like, oh, I left it at home. Like,
No, you told me you left in the hotel room.
So I was like, one day, and he's like, you grab something out of there and cut off the willows or cut off the willows. Like, you're gonna have to tell me what a willow
Dude,
is.
hold on. Will's taking these pliers.
He goes reach over and cut out. I don't know what he was saying.
Because there's this a protective fence around these trees that Mark is trying to reestablish.
Mark's trying to reestablish. The gentleman that let us hunt his place is trying to get reestablish willows along his riparian areas, which, as I'll explain to you guys, just decades and decades of cattle grazing and other stuff eliminated all the willows. So he's trying to get the willows going. And he fences them in, but every time he puts them in there and puts a fence around them, somehow or another, the beavers still get them. So he's trying to hold the beavers back long enough to get his willows reestablished.
And you're wanting these branches, and I end up he's like, reach over and cut off a couple branches. I'm just looking at this fence. I'm like, I can't get over this fence. So I'm thinking maybe he just wants me to press up against the fence and cut. And I'm cutting some like dead flowers. Like I start getting,
he's cutting
like,
briars.
Yeah, bro. I like get poked. I'm like, damn it. And he's like, hey, that's go over the tree in front of the truck and start like clipping those. And I go over with JP. I'm like, man, I don't know what he's talking about. I just start cutting these branches. He's like,
people are
he's like,
real delicate.
He's like, are these alive or dead? And I'm just thinking, yeah, I don't know. He's like, is there green in them? He's like, oh no, these are dead. He's like, we got to go get some ones that have some green in them. Go over to that red tree, right? Go over to those red branches and get me some branches because he's trying to set this trap.
Yeah.
But we were all in. We had the full MeatEater experience.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
We were all
That's
in, dude.
great.
But going back to the duck hunt, yeah, which is where this question originated, it was very cool to see like the way your dog was operating. I thought that was.
I get a real kick out of that. And I don't
Yeah.
have a temperament for dogs, but the ones that are real good, I love, man.
Yeah, and then the first one coming in, you start to feel like nervous and everything. And Steve's in there. All right, this one's coming in. All right, when I say go, you guys do it. And that thing takes a hard right turn. And he goes, get it. And we both get up and pump, hit it. And he's like, all right, well, that duck is destroyed. We're gonna have to go back and forth. And that was like to me, I was like, oh, that's a good little feeling, knowing that you have to call names. And then when you unloaded your gun, there was a moment for me. I was like, oh man, we're really shooting well out here right now.
No,
That's great. Yeah, you were kind of leveling up throughout the day. And
But I think the
it's
shot
great.
of the day was that duck coming overhead and Will with the swing.
That
Because
was
yesterday
nice.
you were talking about the clay. If you can get one of those like that, and Will popped that thing up, no problem, and took it out.
Yeah, we were
I
shooting
was fired
clays,
up.
and you're shooting clays that are leaving from your feet,
Yeah.
flying out. And I said, it'd be more realistic if the shooter went out there and then tried to hit him
Coming
behind
at
him.
you.
Flying over, yeah.
Let it fly over you and hit it behind him.
I'll tell you what, the biggest mess up today was when that teal hit the water. And you're like, get out there, go get him. And so I like pop out, trying to impress my dad out here. Let's go. I'm gonna show him. Get the gun. I get him in my sights. He starts taking off. I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. Safety's on. And I just
You see
lean
Taylor
forward.
like jolt forward.
Yeah. Damn it.
Is that
Gotta
flinch?
walk back.
Or
like, all right.
or when that teal was going by, and then I was like, Taylor, get it. He like stood up and Steve was like, hey, no. I was like, hey, that one's on me. I got a little excited.
Got a little too excited.
Taylor, fire!
Hey,
Yeah.
Cal, we were talking about this in the blind, and I gave an answer, but it wasn't real specific. How many hours are into your dog?
Oh,
I said
mean,
thousands.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, year one, it's like 2 hours a day for like training, and then 24 hours a day for obedience
yeah.
training.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when we were plucking birds and having her place on my jacket, like you are always
Use that.
training. And so
Yeah.
like when you get that brand new little puppy,
Mm-hmm.
you can almost essentially at like 7 weeks imprint things that are going to be very beneficial to you for the rest of that dog's life, or things that you will absolutely
never get
despise
rid of.
Yeah.
for the rest of your life. Yeah. So it's not, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, crate training, place training,
Mm.
healing. I mean, at the
all
end
those good citizen
at
things.
the end of the day, you're training, but you're also like keeping that dog safe too. Because like, say if we were like, bunch of trucks driving around the field or whatever, you tell your dog place and that dog doesn't move, like your dog's gonna be safe.
Yeah. And there's like a
If
bunch
it's
of
running around trying to bite truck tires, it's
Yeah.
going to get...
Oh,
Yeah,
it's gonna
think,
get ran over for sure.
Think of how many like public hunting spots that are like unfortunately like right next to the highway,
Yeah.
right? And dog goes and tries to chase a rooster, a crippled duck, or whatever. And it's just there's so many ways for things to go bad. And the hunting bond is amazing because they put all of their trust in you. And when you watch them get hurt, sometimes they come back to you and they're like, "You said go, I went. What happened?" You know, and it's like that all the time. So, but lots of time in the dog.
When we got our dog, I got it to where I could say, get over here, and it would do that. And then where I could say, get out of here, it would do that. And I'm like, this dog is trained.
Perfect.
Like, that's great.
Let's come and go.
Yeah.
That,
largely off intonation. Get out of here. She's like, that ain't good.
Yes. Yeah.
No, that relationship is awesome. And I said too, snort is famous. Like my buddy texted like, "Hey, how'd Cal's dog do?" I was like, "Hey Cal, check this out. Somebody's asking me about your
Did
dog."
you ever tell him about the story?
On the what?
The ear?
Oh, his dog got
no.
bit by a rattlesnake.
I
bad.
did see
Yeah.
the ear was missing a little bit of fur.
Yeah, exactly. The bald ear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a super long story. But yeah, she got bit by a snake and almost died. But the result is I got a dog with a bald ear, which is
Way
is
better
great.
than a dead
Yeah,
dog.
Way better than a dead dog. Yeah.
I've been
yeah.
talking lately
Kinda
about
matches
the
your
way
head, Cal.
three-legged dogs.
Exactly.
There's so many three-legged dogs around these days,
Uh-huh.
and how much attention they get. And it got me thinking, like, if you had a one-eared dog, it would get a lot of attention.
You know, it
People would want to come up and pet it more.
the way it's kind of like a patch missing, you know? So I think that most people are like, oh, something's wrong with that dog. Like not
Yeah.
like
It's got something.
dog's got cancer,
Yeah,
dog's got
alopecia or something.
so nobody says anything about it, which is pretty funny. It takes a while to like warm up and be like, so what's the deal with that ear?
Yeah, instead of like, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry about your loss.
Right.
Maybe?
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, we got to dole out compliments to you guys. So, like Steven said, situational awareness. So, I mean, just relaxing to be around people who are in that first time position, but can decipher for themselves, like, oh, this is what these guys with more knowledge in this situation are picking up on. So you guys are looking where we're looking. We didn't spend a whole lot of time talking about the hands of the clock, right? When we're like birds at 12 o'clock, birds at 2 o'clock.
We didn't talk about the movement of your hands.
Yeah, we did. I was like, hey, there's one over there. So
Yeah.
It was like the first 5 minutes. He's like, don't do that.
You gotta look with your
Look with your eyes.
That
I was like,
so
oh, yeah,
great.
you're right.
Point with your
That
eyes.
was
Guy sat back
funny.
like, damn.
Dude, that was so funny.
Did he hit?
Giant
did he hit
arm.
you?
Hey, boys, there's one right there.
He's like, well, why don't you wave at it?
Just immediately says, "I'll put your hand down."
Hey, but you know what's crazy is we were hiding from those ducks the whole time. As soon as we got out of the blind, like 50 of them were just kind of ripping around us.
I know.
happens,
It's,
We should have just hung out and talked.
yeah, sometimes that happens. It
Yeah,
makes
it
you think
does.
like all that, like, get back,
Yeah,
be
yeah.
quiet.
Oh,
Yeah.
here comes one in.
But yeah, the camaraderie aspect you guys obviously have down, right? So you know that things are just better when people are happy, and so you guys joke around. But then the serious things, you immediately click in and turn it on, and are like, yeah, gun safety, we're serious about that. Oh, somebody's trying to improve what we're doing a little bit. Oh, okay, be focused, be serious, and then like we already covered, you immediately apply it or try to apply it, right? Which there's a lot of teaching of fishing, hunting stuff too, where it's like, I have certain people that have been around a lot, it's like, well, I need to just quit talking because this person does not apply it. Like they need to fall on their face over and over again. And then which is how I really learned a lot of things too. But you guys are not those folks.
No, I know what
right?
you're talking about.
Like,
Like I say to my boy, he's like, I'm going to go get that duck. I'm like, you're not going to get that duck. No, I can go get that duck. You're not going to get that duck. No, I'm going to go. Okay, go get the duck. And then a while later, like,
Didn't get the
I
done.
didn't get the duck.
yeah, right. And did you see all the ducks I scared away by walking around and all the things? You're like, yep, I did. Okay, now, yeah.
Yeah.
And then appreciators. The number, like, man, it is such a bummer to have any sort of a day, any sort of an experience. And at the end of the day, you're like, God, I just don't know if these people took home what they were supposed to take home, right? But
But
you
Cal
guys,
wasted all of his nice emotion on him.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. I got to bottle all that shit back up.
Because he left it laying in the blind.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, being around people who appreciate like, oh, the place, the instruction, the time and effort stuff, the basic stuff, and you guys are appreciators. So thank you very, very much for that, because that's a big deal.
Yeah,
It was fun, man. It was
Yeah,
great.
this has been incredible. And I feel like the last thing, I'm sure you felt this way too. Like you don't want to be like standing around too much. Like the last thing you want is to be like a liability or to leave, and people are like, oh, they kind of suck.
Didn't put
yeah.
that work in.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed our host this morning. Let's not talk about who he said it about, but our host this morning said of a couple individuals, neither of them is someone you'd want to be in a duck blind with. Not speaking, but you see what he's getting at, right?
Absolutely.
Won't want me to duck blind with him. That's like a thing. You guys can start saying that now.
Yeah.
Won't want me to duck blind with him.
Yeah.
Well, you're like getting your hands around the meat eater thing, right? Well, Corinne does a phenomenal job. And
there's all kinds of compliments going
despite
around
the
today.
phenomenal job that Corinne does, I don't read all of her emails, even when they're sent directly to me. And
Like,
so
she'll get back to
I was
me,
like,
sure.
football guys. I didn't know if you played football. I didn't know if you just talk about football.
Cal's like, shit, I played football.
So I was like the runt of the litter, and I played offensive tackle. So I was like,
Believe it or
oh, no
not.
shit, that's great. So it's a big soft spot for the O-line, especially tackles.
Let's go.
And then my family, my dad went to law school in D.C. And so I was there during like the 86 Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The Hogs.
Right?
Mhm.
And so and we were like lifelong Redskins fans. And so
Doug Williams was the QB.
and I can sing you the fight song to this day. Like,
How's it
so,
going?
Do it.
well, I'm not going
Fight,
to do it right now.
fight.
No, it's not how it is. Hail to the Redskins, hail victory.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah, everybody knows that one.
You know what I didn't do that was
so
cool?
big surprise, but I mean, that's great.
What I didn't do that was poor hosting. Is I didn't offer up a good synopsis of Bussin' with the Boys. Do you mind offering up if someone says, what's your show about?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in a nutshell, it's like we have a platform where everything we do, we want to bring the locker room to life. So if you guys were to come on the bus, which would be awesome one day, it's just how do you have the camaraderie, have the vibes of like getting to know you, your story, like bringing that locker room to life that we kind of grew up in, because the locker room's such a melting pot where jokes and like all the stuff that you wish everybody got to experience, and kind of, we had the privilege of playing in the NFL and playing at the level we got to where, we're able to have kind of these raw conversations and have fun with all of our guests to where it is like the goal of bringing the locker room to life.
Yeah.
Is it sweaty and steamy on your bus?
It has been.
It used to be.
Sometimes it still does, just like, your back and,
Yeah, the back. Yeah,
Are
you get some
there
back
white
sweat going on.
towels laying everywhere on your bus?
No. Hey, I told you about before when we first started. We were in the back of an RV park.
Yeah.
Stealing heat in like 90-degree weather, right next to train tracks. Should
Yeah.
have known by seeing
Yeah.
that plate.
that first year it was because the bus doesn't run, it just sat in a gravel park. It was just in a gravel parking lot, and we would have to tarp it up to where the heat wouldn't get in, and we're July
Dying. No
yeah.
AC.
And then we'd have to power it with if we got to plug into the RV park, or just running it off a generator or two, and that's how we kind of started it.
Yeah.
It's kind of how it got going. Then we got in a little shed. Now we're in a little bit better warehouse. I know the working conditions can be better for the team.
Like you walk in a place like this, you're like, man, we really are screwing our boys.
We should have left JP in the car.
Yeah.
And then it's obviously available anywhere people want to go get it.
Yeah. Yep. Spotify, Apple, Downcast, YouTube, whatever you want. That's how you can find Bustin' with the Boys.
And if
Downcast
people
is
want
on
to have a laugh looking at you guys' stuff, I know you're real active on social media.
Oh,
yeah.
very active on
Yeah.
social media. You should.
We've
scrub through
posted
it,
3
yeah.
times as being on the show. Didn't
Yeah,
even touch my phone once. That's how active we are.
yeah. But yeah, at Bussin WTB.
That's Bussin'.
That's
So
our,
not individual pages. You like to keep it communal.
at _Will Compton if you want to throw me a follow.
Taylor Lawan77, both on Twitter and
Yeah.
on Instagram.
But hit
if
me
you
with the
like that.
Bussin' one.
At Bussin WTB.
Got it.
It's BUSSIN for all the listeners out there. WTB.
Okay.
Cal's
Subscribe
gonna
all
toss you a
Cal's
follow.
downloading Instagram right now.
He's like, what's that website you're talking about? Insta.
What is this? Insta Twitter? What's going on here?
Well, man, I appreciate you coming on the show, and I appreciate you guys going and doing the duck hunt with us, man.
It was so much fun. So much fun. So if you guys ever want to do it again, we are available.
No, we will.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
No,
to hang out
seriously,
again.
thank you guys. This was a blast.
No, you
This
were a
was
lot. You
blast.
guys are a lot of fun to hang out with, and I appreciate your good guys to laugh with.
Yeah, good vibes. 4.5. Take that with you.
I will.
Yeah.
Take that with you. 4.5.
Is
I'm
you with
gonna take
the solid attempt at a beard?
Yeah, it was an attempt. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say it's anything I ever need to go back to.
Yeah, you get a mustache.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, you have a very strong mustache.
I grew it myself. I can't grow a beard, so this is what I got.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
All I have is the mustache going for me. It gets all patchy. Looks like pubic hair, honestly. It's terrible.
Yeah, I grew an entire guiding season. This is back when I was living in Missoula. Entire fall guiding season. I decided I was like, I'm going to force this. And I did not shave the entire time. And I got back to town and went to like my favorite bartenders, right? And like a Charlie B's situation, like all female bartenders. And everyone was like, just, what are you doing?
Oh, speaking of pubes, I had to go do this thing. I was telling you guys, I can't remember if I was telling you this or not. Like I had this like sort of weird pain moving around my groinal region.
Oh, we've talked about it.
It was like over my leg.
Swollen testicles. You had the.
Well, no, it wasn't though.
You had that rash.
I don't know what.
Did you get that taken care of?
It'd be like in the crease of my. It's just moving around, and I know, and I'm real susceptible to stuff too. Like if you tell me that if you all of a sudden said you had elbow cancer, I swear my elbow would hurt.
Yeah.
And Seth had some kind of hernia deal going on, but that wasn't it. And so I had this wandering pain, and then your mind starts running away with you. And I'm always so I was like, man, maybe I got a hernia, maybe I got testicular cancer. So I go down, and it's like legit hurts, but they've ruled out all the bad stuff. But when you go to get this done, it's not humiliating because everybody down there is cool, but you lay down. Okay, and they come in and so you take your pants off. They come in and they say like, "Well, lay your penis up on your stomach," and then they put a little
Good for
towel.
you, man. Good for you.
That's what's so funny. I know.
I'm just thinking, hey, I'll just keep my hand in place the whole time.
You got some tape?
Yeah, don't worry, I'll hold it here the entire time. They're just telling you where to
I just
lay
kind of
it.
perched up on the
It's
side.
like, I got a hunk of surgical tape.
Sad dog.
And then you put like a little towel over it, and then they lay the boys like up on a platter, like between your legs.
And then they're like digging
It's so
in there.
It's so compromising,
Hey,
man.
you had this?
Oh, I had a sport hernia. I had surgery. Yeah.
Oh,
I had
really?
surgery. Sports hernia.
And
Yeah.
the person, like, you could
Did
tell.
you think the gel was like
oh, yeah,
warm?
the gel. And you can tell that, like, anything going through your head about how, like, the woman doesn't care.
No.
Doesn't care.
Doesn't care at all.
Tell me for a second when that gel hit your mind, you're like, all right, calm down here. All right, calm down.
No, what's so funny is you can tell, just the fact that she's like, this, I do this for a living.
Yeah, it's okay.
I appreciate this is probably strange for you, but I don't care. There's nothing I could see. There's nothing I could not see that I care about.
That's funny.
That's also good for you on that.
So anyways, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I still don't know why I have a little phantom wandering pain, but maybe like, I don't know.
But it's
Maybe
not
just
the
a little
bad
strain.
stuff.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, a little
maybe
strain.
it's stress.
Yeah, maybe a little
I got a strain. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks
Move
for the
it around.
diagnosis.
So what is the next hunt? You guys gonna start scheming and find another one here after this duck adventure?
Part of me wants to hit some big game.
I think
What was he saying earlier? He's like,
Something
I want to be up in a
Keep
mountain.
talking
I
about
want to
it.
be I want to go camping.
Yeah.
I want to sit
Yeah.
there and be like, it's been 4 days. We've been on the trail for 4 days. We're hunting.
We can make you eat those words, you know.
Listen.
no question. He's
Just go to
saying
the
it. He's
road.
saying
And,
it.
and I'm not what you would call a survivor. Like you're not going to put me in the wilderness and be like, "We'll see you in a week." I will be dead in a week, picked apart. So I will definitely need you if that was ever going to be the case.
That'd be a mighty,
Depends,
it'd be
we
a
have to
mighty
put this
square
tent
meal
together?
for that
Yeah,
predator.
yeah. Just press a button, right? The tent will be made up.
I think an elk hunt would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've always heard
Everyone wants to hunt them elk.
Yeah, I don't
There's
know
a
what
lot
it
of
is.
them these days too.
See, I think bear would be sweet.
Oh,
Walking
Yeah.
into Chester's office yesterday, he's got that. And he's talking to me about the story of how he got it. I was like, man,
It's a
that'd
great
be
story.
sick. Just an apex predator out there. Me and him, but I have a gun. You know?
Fisticuff.
It's roast beef of the woods, man. That's bears. Yeah.
Yeah. What were you saying about ducks? The prime rib of the sky?
Oh, big
roast
time.
beef in
yeah.
the woods, prime river to the
Yeah.
sky. It's all good.
Yeah, everything.
Well, guys, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Yes,
it.
thank you
Thank you.
guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Subscribe,
Bussin' with the
Bussin'.
boys.
Good
Check it
shooting
out.
today.
Subscribe. Listen. Good shooting. Over and out.
All right, let's do a handshake.
Close.
What were you doing there at the end?
I don't know. They do something like this. Like,
You just
Great,
met.
guys. Thank you so much.
it was close, right?
Thank
Thank you so much.